What in the hell sort of abomination expelled right from Satan's butthole did I just watch? Good Lord! Remember the good old days, about 3 years ago, when we thought the Star Trek franchise was about to finally turn itself around? How far we've come! I didn't think it could get much worse than Section 31 and that series that disgraced the name of Discovery for all eternity, but you know what they say, never accept anything as a certainty because false acceptance will come back, kick you right in the jimmy, and then poop on your head. The show gets off to a great start with a narration from Holly Hunter where it sounds like her mouth is perpetually filled with marbles. She tries being deep and reminds us of the damage done by the burn. No, not this burn. The burn that broke everything over a century ago for plot convenience and to remind us that the future is a nightmare. We don't really need reminding, Captain Marbles. We're in hell! Then, as if the show is trying to make the worst first impression possible, we switch to single mother She-Hulk, who stole some stuff and got a guy killed and blames the whole thing on toxic masculinity. Then she's dragged off for a visit with Captain Marbles, and we meet with, what the hell, Giamatti? Are things really that bad? Why, dude? Just why? Have some self-respect. 4 minutes in, and we have our first toxic white dude. I'm actually surprised it took that long. What the hell, Giamatti is apparently responsible for everything that's gone wrong in She-Hulk's life. Of course he is. And then, in continuing her great first impression, Captain Marbles sentences She-Hulk to a rehabilitation camp so she can work on her terrible parenting skills and learn how not to get innocent people killed. Then She-Hulk's kid is called into a meeting with Captain Marbles, and further improving on her great first impression, She-Hulk's kid tricks Captain Marbles, steals her comm badge, and evokes some computer trickery to escape. Our protagonist, folks, completely unintelligible, sentences single mother She-Hulks to jail and gets tricked by 5-year-olds. Even Fat Tilly wasn't this incompetent. Next, it's 15 years later, and She-Hulk's kid has grown up to be an upstanding criminal as the idiots in charge of this show, in a bumbling attempt to virtue signal, further perpetuate the stereotypes they are claiming to be against. In keeping with family tradition, She-Hulk's kid is on his way to jail while being tortured by evil white dudes after he decides to get lippy. Then he breaks free and shocks one of the white dudes in the nuts. He hopes to find She-Hulk, but his plan goes awry as he gets captured by a robot computer and then gets very pissy. Then we get caught up with Captain Marbles as she has found a vocation better suited to her skills, commanding toddlers, where we learn that stealing ice cream is bad. Nearly 5 minutes in and I'm just riveted. Her lecture on ice cream theft is so riveting that Starfleet has decided it wants her back. Only the best people for the job on this show. Actually, running Starfleet Academy with modern-day Zoomers is probably very much like dealing with toddlers, so actually, she's perfect for the position. Apparently, she quit after the She-Hulk incident. No, not because she was outsmarted by a 5-year-old, but because she prevented them from having a life of committing crimes together. She decides to take the job when she finds out that She-Hulk's scumbag criminal kid has been found, and in another hilariously oblivious perpetuation of stereotypes, white savior lady Captain Marbles convinces She-Hulk's kid to join Starfleet Academy. Also, they make sure to portray She-Hulk's kid as Hannibal Lecter. Man, you idiots are going to have to cancel yourselves at this rate. Also, I thought Starfleet Academy only took the best. I guess that rule was just thrown out the window. Demographics overall, yo! It seems She-Hulk broke out of prison. Guess they had the best people for the job working there too. She-Hulk's kid is sad that she didn't reach out to him. Well, she wasn't a very good mother. Why would you be surprised by this? Then She-Hulk's kid gets pissy when Captain Marbles tells him he has to get a haircut because he prefers looking like a complete degenerate. Next, the USS Discovery breathes a sigh of relief as it finds out that it is no longer the most atrocious thing to ever grace the screen of a supposed Star Trek series as we meet the oh so subtly named USS Athena, which apparently is the school. It's basically a modern university, so essentially hell. Also, the inside looks like a Disney theme park. What fun! Then Stephen Colbert reminds us over a loudspeaker to eat because, quote, hunger is sometimes the greatest enemy of all. Yep, I'm in hell. Next, we are introduced to this show's version of a Jem'Hadar, and apparently instead of Ketracel White, they now just ingest donuts. Our modern-day Jem'Hadar, which we are just going to refer to as Plumpy going forward, introduces itself to Captain Mumbles and She-Hulk's degenerate kid. Then Plumpy gets into an argument with She-Hulk's kid, while Captain Marbles gets scared and proceeds to hide in the background, as we are all astounded by Plumpy's terrible acting skills. Next, we are introduced to a Klingon named Jaden, the most annoying of annoying Zoomer names. but to us, he won't be Jaden. Let me introduce you to Brittany, the shame of Kronos. Worf is not happy at all. We learn that Brittany is not like other Klingons. Yep, that's exactly what the fans wanted. Then Brittany and She-Hulk's degenerate kid walk through a magic portal, and now they look like the complete wussies they are. Next, oh what the hell, Picardo? Our doctor is examining the new cadets and determines that She-Hulk's kid either has or is a parasite. I'll let you be the judge. Then, this example of best person for the job accidentally swallowed her comm badge. No, I didn't make that up. They actually wrote that into the script. Then Plumpy takes Captain Marbles to the bridge where they meet the crew. Amongst the crew is this person, a shining example of peak Starfleet health, who we shall simply refer to as Portly Dan, or just Dan for short. And doesn't Captain Marbles just look so imposing in that chair? Then Captain Marbles gives a speech to her diverse crew and makes a point of telling our diverse Zoomers how awesome they are. Yeah, that's part of the problem. And really, could you at least try and look like you have a modicum of self-respect? Then, in another example of current year best person for the job awesomeness, we are introduced to this person. She's a socially awkward hologram. Yep, apparently they designed her to look this way. Look people, this is never going to work, no matter how hard you try. Next, we are introduced to Genesis. With a name as pretentious as that, I'm sure she's going to be a delight. Girl boss Genesis and the Heftygram then become besties. Girl boss Genesis tries to be funny, and I try to resist the urge to drive a hammer into my skull. Then Brittany, the shame of Kronos, runs into our two besties, and we are introduced to Toxic Timmy from planet Jerkface, who steals Brittany's glasses. But She-Hulk's kid is here to set Toxic Timmy straight. Luckily, what the hell Picardo steps in before She-Hulk's kid and Brittany get their asses kicked all over the corridor by Toxic Timmy. Then we learn that Brittany, the shame of Kronos, likes watching birds. Oh, Worf, I am so sorry, dude. Then we have a touching moment with the Heftygram and What the Hell Picardo. What the Hell Picardo tells us that he forced himself to look older, sparing the effects department more embarrassment. Then She-Hulk's degenerate kid breaks into the comm system to contact Mummy. Criminal's gonna criminal, yo! Then girl boss Genesis decides that she wants to bang the degenerate. Man, y'all could be a bit less predictable. Also, what the hell is this? Next, we learn there's pie. Lots and lots of pie. And Plumpy and Portly Dan get very excited. Then Captain Mumble's first mission in charge of the USS Kick You in the Testicles goes terribly wrong, and our Zoomers poop themselves in fear. Then, oh no, Plumpy's been hurt. What are they going to do with all that pie now? Hopefully Portly Dan's okay. It seems it's up to our scrappy Zoomers and the Heftygram to save the day. Next, What the Hell Giamatti is shamed back into appearing in the episode. You did it to yourself, dude. What the Hell Giamatti then proceeds to try and pick up this lady, and she is not impressed. Not impressed in the slightest. Also, this whole thing is the fault of She-Hulk's kid. Well, you gave him the job instead of sending him where he needed to be, i.e. jail. Even What the Hell Giamatti is impressed with the level of incompetence, and Portly Dan is really mad that this took away from his pie-eating time. Next, girl boss Genesis has to break up a fight between Toxic Timmy and our heroes. So exciting! What the Hell Giamatti wants to steal their warp drive. Oh no! How will Portly Dan get his pie now? And What the Hell Giamatti says he thinks Captain Mumbles is hot. Good lord! Don't worry though, She-Hulk's degenerate kid is here to save the day with sciencey science stuff, and Brittany, the shame of Kronos, saves Plumpy with his terrible acting skills. Then it's Toxic Timmy's turn to save the day with his special skills from planet Jerkface, and his actual appearance is whatever the hell this is supposed to be, and girl boss Genesis is enamored. Again, please be less predictable. Toxic Timmy goes for a walk on her hideous ship and does stuff. What kind of stuff? Who cares? This episode is way too long. Then Plumpy accidentally punches Brittany across the sickbay. Captain Marbles tries tricking What the Hell Giamatti into quitting, but oh no, he's not believing this lie. This could end up being quite bad for She-Hulk's kid. Then, oh no, What the Hell Giamatti's ship goes boom boom. Don't worry though, he escapes. Then we get tortured by a terrible Zoomer cover of a terrible boomer song about wearing flowers in your hair from the 60s. Hell! This is hell! Then our scrappy little hero is let off with little more than a warning. No consequences, folks. What could go wrong? Well, just about everything if you're watching this crap. And that's it for today. Follow me on all the things, and also, don't forget to subscribe to Warp Drive Live on the Spacebook YouTube channel, where we discuss many things, including this abomination, every Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Link is in the description. And, until next time, piss off!